Oh, so stuff.
You raise me up.
Hey, out there in YouTube land, it's Kuda Slayer once again. I kind of thought I'd do kind of a semi-formal video sharing some of the channels that I follow on YouTube. Obviously, you know, there's a whole world of valuable information you can find online, and there's about 21 21 channels that I follow for, I at least catch up on every day, or at least once a week when they update. So a lot of these, are, hopefully you might find that you enjoy them too. First off, one of my big favorite ones is Isaac Arthur's Science and Futurism. He's been around for about 2-3 years now. Rather interesting how he kind of started off with this, and it pretty much ballooned into a bigger production with kind of a full-time staff and everything. He usually updates about twice a week, if I remember right. And lately, about the last year or so, he's been doing a special showing, a live broadcast on the last Sunday of the month. Most of the format, as you can see, is a lot of science and science fiction type subjects. Most of his videos are 20, maybe 45 minutes long at most. Usually a lot of things he'll pick a particular concept and follow through with it. Like a lot, he started out with megastructures early on in his broadcasting career, and usually he'll start with a subject and then kind of expand it out, kind of show how big. It's almost like Mythbusters in a way. First off they'll pick a topic, then try to figure out, how could it be done, and then let's just take it to its logical extreme. Like one of the first subjects he picked was mega structures, like Dyson spheres are a popular one, O'Neill cylinders, ring worlds, the Fermi paradox is kind of a fairly common one, and usually it's these they're nice little snippets. Most videos don't go more than 45 minutes or so. And it's, I find he presents everything in a pretty nice, digestible way, so it's not, doesn't go over your head too often. And usually he puts out a schedule, shows, what what's going to be coming up in next. I think it's like roughly every 2 months schedule ahead. Well, he shows, then of course they're part of the Nebulon series, or the additional documentaries they have. But it's it's probably one of the better put together shows on YouTube, and it's pretty much any topic, science or science fiction wise, will like I said, O'Neill cylinders and such. It's a good channel to follow. Next up is John Michael Gaudier's Event Horizon. Kind of similar format to Isaac Arthur. His videos can go a little longer. He does more of an interview style format on subject matter. Let's see. It seemed like there was he was kind of covering a lot of the Fermi paradox issues as well. And I'm trying to remember what his update schedule. It's kind of a little more sporadic than say Isaac Arthur, but still a good show. Definitely worth following. Then we have the Templeton Institute. This is more science fiction and follows more, different types of franchises and such. Almost anything is fair game. They'll give everything in a kind of a lecture format. yeah, they're kind of a little more sporadic in their presentation as well. Any video game, book, TV franchise, will be part of it. Then the other one, Eckhart's Ladder. Damn these. Anyway, most of what he does tends to be around Star Wars and Halo. He kind of covers all kinds of more, subjects. Kind of goes more into the weeds in some places, like maybe more opinion pieces and whatnot. Fairly, updates fairly frequently. But, not a good show, or channel, I should say. Then Generation Tech. These guys are kind of like, actually there's about 2 or 3 guys that does this channel. Most of what they cover are going to be Star Wars subjects. They'll, every now and then they might venture off into Star Trek or some other franchise. But, again, they update fairly frequently. Most of what they have are kind of opinion style pieces, and it kind of gives you more information than you might get some other coverage in other channels. Let's see. The Chieftain. The Chieftain is he actually works for the development company for World of Tanks. And he does a lot of historical. Actually, this is going to be one of the first historical channels I was going to cover. Pretty much anything involving tanks or armor from World War I up to pretty close about now. But most of what I've seen him cover are World War II subjects. He'll get pretty in depth in various subjects, and a lot of the video. But I thought some of his videos ran a little longer than that. But most of them he usually does about 20-30 minutes. Although he does a few hour-long pieces, and will do some specials where he just answers questions brought in from the audience at home. He just kind of covers all kinds of. Actually, I thought this was rather interesting. The military issue Chevrolet 1503, which, even though it's a mundane car, it's kind of interesting how some of the little details that were involved with it. A lot of them going to be World War II. And again, he works with the World of Tanks, and some of his longer lectures will cover things like the development of the Sherman, the M4 Sherman, and why it was what it was. There's a lot of he covers a lot of good history, and if you're into role playing, especially military role playing, you might pick up a lot of details that be good towards your games. Now, Drachenfeld, I hope I pronounced his name. He covers a lot more naval type military history. Again, he does a lot of his long shows or answering questions from audience members. Most of his other little things are going to be kind of nice little short blurbs. There's all kinds of anything from World War II, World War I, even earlier, naval military history. He's kind of like a chieftain. He'll cover a lot of subjects that, and especially little details and such that would be great if towards any kind of role playing, especially if you're trying to write your own adventures and such. And of course, he produces a lot of his own shows fairly frequently. So if you got nothing else to do, there's always going to be something new. Anyway, history guy. Um, he does it in a pretty good show. More people should follow him, in my opinion. He'll cover almost any era in history you can imagine, not just the 20th century. He'll go for 1800s or earlier. Some military, but usually everything's about roughly 20 minutes or so, and usually find something interesting in each and every one of them. Let's see. Mark Felton. He is if I understand right, he was actually a writer and has done quite a few books on military history. He's kind of like Drakenfeld. Covers a lot of short videos he'll put out on a specific subject. Almost a lot of World War II, and as you can see, here's 20th, Cold War and World War One and such. Again, usually he updates fairly often, and it's always interesting, something to find. The Ninja Beddage. Another good history channel. He will cover. It's kind of rather random what he may cover in any given time. Not really specifically limited to any particular time frame. He'll go from ancient history to more modern, a lot of World War II stuff as well. Again, fairly. Again, you can't. It's kind of hard to find something interesting with Lindsay Bell. And what the heck? Okay, you're having technical problems. Well, shoot. Yeah, that's what it was. Subbriefs. Here you go, subbrief. This is kind of a more recent find that I had, and rather unique in what he does. He used to be a sonar technician during the 80s, and I think into the 90s. I think he retired sometime fairly recently, but he'll talk about submersible naval submarines, and kind of go real in depth, and even in some cases like here, and what I thought was kind of interesting, we talked about the preference of Perseverance, my bad, probe on Mars. He actually will go through audio recordings of sonar and other audio recordings, and kind of pick out different little details. Like when talking about the Mars rover, he kind of pointed out a couple of things he thought was interesting about, like the sound of electric motor, if something was moving, and it's like talking about how one of the arms was being moved, and then it hit something, and he kind of picked out what kind of electrical system they were using on there just by the sound of the motor and one of the hums. Rather interesting. Talks about a lot about submarines, of course. Goes into some of the history, and kind of does he doesn't beat you on the head with information. He kind of really explains everything in a rather easily me saying this, easily digestible snippets and such. Man, I just found he actually plays a lot of naval games too. But again, he's another channel you can usually find something interesting if you even just look randomly. And of course, Shadiversity. He does more like medieval and older history, different aspects like certain weapons, and we'll go into over details, and of course one of the recent controversies, as it has been boob armor and such. Rather, rather interesting. He's, can be comical. Doesn't really, speak to you from an intellectual viewpoint or as an elitist. He gives a rather in-depth look into a subject for each video, and it's again another random channel. You can usually find something interesting to watch at any given time, and almost always learn something. And I'm seeing more technical problems. Wonderful. Anywho, well, let's go back to them. Crit Crab. If you're really heavy into role-playing games and such, this is kind of more of a horror story style of telling other people's experiences with their role-playing with other people and such, and a lot of the stories are humorous. It's, again, if you're into role-playing and such, there's almost always some kind of story you'll hear from somebody's recollection about dealing with other people in a role-playing setting, and almost each and every one of them are going to be humorous in one way or the other. Then Artosaurian. They are the publishers of games like Cyberpunk, including the recent Cyberpunk Red and Cyberpunk 2077. One of the games I play, Mechton, Teenagers from Outer Space, The Witcher. It's sometimes you get some inside baseball talk with some of the lectures they cover. Let's see, and Puff and Forest. Puff and Forest is another channel devoted to just, regaling each other with stories of experiencing role playing with each other, and usually ending in disastrous results. Certainly a lot with a comical bent to each and every one. He's kind of fairly, unfortunately it's kind of sporadic in his updating, but one thing I do kind of like, he does collab with a lot of other people who do role-playing horror stories and such. On Seth Skorsky, I'm going to have to punish myself later for not mispronouncing that. He's really into doing a fairly regular updates with his channel, discussing all kinds of aspects of role-playing games, how to incorporate different things into your games, some of his experiences playing and game mastering with others. Again, he's been around for quite a long time, so he's got quite a bit in background or backlog if you start watching him. It's fairly informative. I find him very entertaining. If you're into role playing, he definitely would be a good choice for you. Now for you Mecha and Gundam heads, I've got Boofire 191. If you don't already know about him, I recommend you should. Covers a lot of subjects in anime, but most of his stick has been Gundam and some other mecha franchises. Takes kind of a bit of a semi-serious comical slant to anything. Most of what he does are going to be opinion pieces. Sometimes he will kind of get more in depth and doing a serious discussion on things. Let's see, of course we've got Gundam Info. Again, if you're not a Gundam fan, don't know about this, get on board. You know, they cover. Actually, they have some episodes too of different Gundam shows and such. Usually, sometimes they're the first release when anything's come out in Japan. Of course, you got Crunchyroll, another good anime channel. Some of them informative, some are just a lot of information or random discussion on subjects. Then got Kakarat, mostly Gundam. I think he's veered off into other subjects, but almost everything's going to be Gundam related one way or the other. Rather informative. He does a pretty good job. A lot of top 10 lists. A lot of, definitely informative discussion on some, like a particular model or class of mecha. But again, another good channel to follow if you're into that kind of thing. But anyway, those are 21. Well, actually no, actually 19 if I'm mistaken. The joys of internet. Anyway, this is Kuda Slayer. I hope you found this video enjoyable and learn something and find some new things to follow on YouTube besides like anyone follows me. There's always, if you have a channel you like to share with everybody else, leave it in the comments. I probably will have some more videos coming up fairly soon. But anyway, this is Kuda Slayer signing off, and catch everybody later. Bye.